Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of my Carolina Hurricanes franchise mode series right here on NHL 19. And today, the Hurricanes are back in the postseason for the second year in a row, although this time with not as much confidence, which is weird to say because we finally make the playoffs. Last postseason, we make a shocking run to the conference final before ultimately falling to Philadelphia. And now you'd think, oh, okay, cool, we're back in the playoffs. We're going to build upon what we did last year. And to clarify, we have to build upon what we did last year. Otherwise, we do, in fact, lose our first round pick if we don't make it back to the conference final. But we don't have that much confidence. We are, of course, dealing with an injury to one Pekka Matanen, who is out for the rest of the postseason. And despite the additions of Jamie Benn and Kyle Okposo to the team, we still have some concerns. Nathan MacKinnon gets the big money. He's not performing as well as we need him to. Morgan Rielly has a big money deal. He's not performing as well as we need him to. And Spencer Knight's future here in Carolina is very much up in the air and could be solely dependent on what we see happen this postseason. Average at best, for the most part, from him thus far. Now, he still is only 23 years old, but still, with the injury concerns as well, you just have to wonder how much longer he has here. But this will be the team that takes on the Lightning again. We are in the playoffs as the 8th seed, so we have a challenge, unfortunately, as we move over to the Atlantic side of the bracket. But it will be Svechnikov, Nathan MacKinnon, and Jamie Benn on that top line. Second line of Trevor Zegras, Dylan Peterson, and Jamie Whitfield. Third line of Simon Robertson, who is in, of course, replacing the injured Matanen, with Theo Rochette and Nino Niederreiter. The fourth line, Antti Allonen, Morgan Geekie, and Kyle Okposo. The defense, Bowen Byram and Morgan Rielly to start. Jake Bean is with Dougie Hamilton, and the third pairing of Luka Mittelstadt and Dominic Machine. And, of course, the goaltending, you already know, it is Spencer Knight. Alex Turcotte is a healthy scratch who, due to the moves, could only replace Robertson unless we see another injury. So the question is always, just how good is the team that we're going up against? And considering Tampa's the 1 seed in the East, I think you could assume that we are going to have ourselves a challenge. Now, we do need to turn off Yield Fog of War for the playoffs, just so that we can see how good they ultimately are. I was going to say good or bad, but let's be honest, it's going to be good. So Fog of War is off for now. Again, it will go right back on once we are eliminated from the playoffs, if I do remember. And accidentally hit the wrong bumper, but that's okay. Let's take a look at this Lightning team. Let's see what we are up against. And good Lord. All right. JT Miller, your newest Vancouver Canuck, starts us off. 88 overall for him. Centered by former Hurricane Pierre-Luc Dubois and Nikita Kucherov. How happy is Dubois that we traded him to where he ended up in Tampa. Second line, Gabe Fortier, who is a second-round pick of the Lightning. Steven Stamkos at 35 years old, and Boris Tkachuk. Third line, Alex Chiasson is with Philip Deneau and Yanni Gourde. Fourth line of Alex Killorn, Ross Colton, and Matthew Joseph. So, obviously, still quite a heavy influence. The only members of this team that aren't actually within the Lightning organization to start a franchise mode are Deneau and Chiasson, and of course Pierre-Luc Dubois. Everybody else is within that organization, whether or not they've been there or have developed, like Fortier, Tkachuk, and Colton. Defensively, they're running a forward on defense. And they also have Peyton Krebs and Hunter Shinkaruk as scratches. Oh, the former Hurricanes. Tyler Kleven is injured, so right now, they're running Taylor Radish on defense, which is interesting. But the top pairing is just ungodly. Mikhail Sergachev, Victor Hedman, second pairing of Ryan McDonough and Callan Foote. Third pairing right now of Radish and Ben Thompson. Again, all players who are normally within the organization. Of course, they've lost the likes of Vasilevsky and Braden Point. Connor Ingram, who in real life they've recently traded to Nashville for nothing, which is insanity to me. Rumor was that he's a little bit difficult to handle. I'll take someone who's not mature. Maybe he's just a douche. I don't know. But, you know, he's a promising goaltending prospect, and in this sim, he's turned into a decent enough goalie. So we'll see if we can overcome that. Linus Ullmark is the backup. Needless to say, we are not the favorites in this series, but I don't think we're horrifically outmatched. Like, I can certainly see, like, oh yeah, we're the 8th seed, they're the 1 seed, right? But funny enough, we have a higher offensive rating. They have a slightly higher defensive rating, and we apparently have the advantage in goaltending. We'll see whether or not that lasts. Let's get this going. Our first round pick is at stake. Spencer Knight's future on this team is at stake. There's a lot on the line. Let's see what happens. First period of game 1, and we do get the opening goal. It is Simon Robertson. You'll love to see it. Nearly doubled them up in shots. Second period, and the score holds. Tampa now 22 shots to 19, but Knight up to the task thus far. Will that continue as we go to the final 20 minutes here? An insurance goal would be nice, and we need it now. It's a power play goal from JT Miller from a terrible angle. The Lightning have tied this game up at 1. We're over the halfway point of the third period. Another power play chance here for Tampa. That's killed off. Under 5 minutes to go in regulation. Are we destined for overtime? We are. 39 shots to 27 for Tampa. We're still tied at 1. Goal in the first period from Robertson. Goal in the third from JT Miller. A huge chance to take a game on the road to start this series. Will somebody show up? Will somebody be the hero? Nathan McKinnon, please. Overtime begins. Can we get the goal? Power play chance, please. A wasted chance. Can Tampa respond? At least not immediately. We're over the halfway point here. Will there be a goal, or is it double overtime on the horizon? Looks like it could be likely. 2 minutes to go. Power play chance, and we're still going to double overtime. And that doesn't bode well for us. 2 power play chances in overtime. No goals. We go to double overtime. You know it's going to end quickly. And I'm fully expecting it to be a Lightning win. I can't help but think that way. Don't blink. You'll miss it. 3, 2, 1. It'll end within 5 seconds. Power play chance for the Lightning. And they strike. Philip Deneau wins it in overtime. That is horrific. We can't blame Spencer Knight for that one. That is absolutely horrific. 2 chances to end it in overtime on the power play. And in overtime, it ultimately was Trevor Zegras. Takes the holding the stick penalty 21 seconds into overtime. And Philip Deneau ends it with a few seconds to spare on the power play. So the Lightning take game 1. Big game from Ingram, big game from Knight to keep us in it. But ultimately, we could only put up 1 goal against their 86 rated goaltender. And some of our concerns about some of our top players not exactly pulling their own weight, I mean, those fears at least came to life in game 1. We go to game 2. The Lightning still on a roll in their last 10. Can we finally, I want to say finally, that's not really the right way to phrase it, but can we get to them? I mean, really, if you factor in the regular season, you can say, can we finally stop their amazing run of form? Regardless, you get the point. First period of game 2, and yet again we have a 1-0 lead early on. It's Jamie Whitfield with the goal. Even in shots, not even on the board. Second period, drastically different this time out. Stamkos ties it. Niederreiter restores the lead. Stamkos scores again. We are tied at 2 as we go to the third period. The next goal is crucial. And we get it. It's Morgan Riley. I think that was shorthanded. If not, it was close. And Matthew Joseph ties it up. Drastically different game here. Power play for Tampa. Another one for Tampa. That's killed off as well. We're under 5 minutes remaining in regulation. Are we going back to overtime? We are. So from a 1-1 game to a 3-all game. It is overtime again here in Tampa, here in Game 2. Another opportunity to take a game on the road. If we lose this one, though, I'm very, very scared for our chances moving forward. Let's see what happens. Overtime here in Game 2. Can we walk away with the victory? Somebody needs to step up here, and they don't. It's JT Miller. Tampa takes it 4-3, and the Lightning have a 2-0 series lead. We take them to overtime on both occasions, but on both occasions, we let a 1-0 lead at the end of 20 minutes slip away, and the Lightning defend home ice. We put up a fight, but that is far, far from ideal. And I genuinely don't know what the answer here is. I mean, that top line has been completely ineffective. So we'll flip Ben and Svechnikov just to try and get something going. The second line, we could make one change if we wanted to, and we probably will. And it might be giving Theo a little bit more playtime. Peterson is the one that can drop down, or we can bump up a Robertson if we really wanted to. And, you know, I think we might, because Trevor Zegras can play center. So we'll go Robertson, Zegras, and Whitfield. And let's go with Niederreiter, Rocher, and Peterson. And then the fourth line hasn't been brutalized, at least. It's just we're struggling to score. From a defensive standpoint, it's not bad, but we're going to flip Bean and Byram just to see what happens. And from a goaltending standpoint, Knight's been good. He was obviously much better in Game 1 than he was in Game 2. It's just our top line and really the top 6 in general, where right now we have 3 points, and if you want to count Peterson, we had 4 points between 7 players that have played top 6 minutes in the first 2 games, which is absolutely brutal. We go to Game 3. Is there a turnaround for us? If not, the Lightning will have a commanding 3-0 series lead, and we will likely be saying goodbye to our first-round pick. First period, and again, 1-0 Carolina, and again, it's Robertson with the lone goal of the first period. Can we build upon that? Can we have that lead to a victory? Second period, good God in heaven. Hedman, Dubois, and Stamkos. 3-1 for Tampa. A nightmare of a second period for us. Early power play chance here for Tampa's killed off. We need a comeback effort. That top line has to step up. Power play chance goes to waste as we're over the halfway point of the third period. And we might be done. Morgan Geekie scores, the fourth line chipping in. Is there one more to force overtime? PLD. 4-2 is your final. The Lightning take Game 3. For the third straight game, they overcome a 1-0 deficit after the opening 20 minutes. And they are 1 win away from the second round. Absolutely horrific. The worst case scenario here for the Hurricanes. Just an absolute nightmare. The top line has done nothing. Nothing. Incredible. Just incredible. And not the wrestler. Robertson at least has 2 goals in 3 games, but Zegras and Whitfield haven't really done much. Theo's been great. I mean, I know that's the thing, though. Robertson's been good, so it's like, do I drop him? You know what, here, let's go Zegras, Rocher, and Whitfield. And then Robertson can kind of play center, so we'll put him there. Defensively, unless Dougie Hamilton's at 100%, I'm not going to play him in this next game. It is game day. Dougie Hamilton's going to be sitting. because typically if I play a guy who's not at 100%, they get hurt even more. So Hamilton will be out, and that means John Wesley will be in, which is a nightmare. So it's actually going to be Dom Machine who takes Hamilton's spot, because it's going to be much better to have him in more offensive roles. So Wesley will take Machine's spot on the third pairing. And we'll actually put Byram with Machine and Bean with Riley. And Knight, again, hasn't been that bad. I don't think we can necessarily blame him. It would be a hell of a lot easier if we could. But it's just, I mean, it's fairly obvious as far as what the issue is right now. We just can't score goals. So many of our key players have been letting us down here. And in terms of a power play, we are at 1 for 14. 1 for 14 on the power play. But we know it's all our top players. So what can we really change? An absolute nightmare for us here. I mean, aside from getting booted from the playoffs, you then also have to factor in what this means for us. And that is, again, losing a first-round pick for absolutely nothing, which is just horrific. And knowing, of course, again, that this is, fresh off the heels of handing Nathan MacKinnon all the money in the world, and then he just disappears in the playoffs. That's a nightmare. I mean, we have him for at least 3 more seasons, I believe, before we get him down to a no-trade clause, or to, at the very least, from a no-trade clause to a no-movement clause, where we'd have limited options to send him. First period of Game 4... and at least this time, they didn't trick us into thinking we had a chance. Nathan MacKinnon does get the opening goal, go figure. But it doesn't hold as Taylor Radish scores for the Lightning to tie this one up. Second period, and Tampa is now 20 minutes away. It is a member of last year's team, Hunter Shinkaruk, who scores. It is a 2-1 lead for the Lightning. They are again 20 minutes away from ending this series. Power play chance for the Canes, an extended power play, and it goes to waste. Power play chance for the Lightning, that also goes to waste, and we're over the halfway point. We need a goal, and we need it quickly, or our season is over, and it's looking like that is going to be the case. Dubois with the empty netter. The Tampa Bay Lightning have swept the Carolina Hurricanes. We are bounced in the first round by Connor Ingram and company. As our season ends in the most disappointing and arguably embarrassing fashion that it possibly could, when you really think about it. And that just, again, the further issues of failing the goal for the season, losing that first round pick, that really hurts. And obviously, this team's going to change a lot, I'd say. Again, whether or not we're overly aggressive next season, I don't know, or at least this offseason in terms of making changes. I don't know because of what player progression we could see. But, that kind of speaks for itself right there. The 2 acquisitions who looked like they really helped the team were complete no-shows in the playoffs. Defensively, I mean, Morgan Riley was at least a little bit more like himself, but Bowen Byram continues to not put up points, and Dominic Machine, who normally does, simply didn't. And Knight finishes with a .921 save percentage. On the flip side, it's a .950 for Connor Ingram. He gave up 7 goals in 4 games. Just a nightmare as Tampa wins with fucking 5 defensemen. And Pierre-Luc Dubois rips us to shreds, which is the least surprising thing I think I've ever seen. Because of course he did. Why wouldn't the former player rip us to shreds? Why wouldn't they? When do they not? The Charlotte Checkers at the very least, though, have made the playoffs. We'll turn our attention to them for the moment. So I'll go best lines with that team. Cody Berard, who's going to be making a push. I mean, you look at the guys on this team. Berard, Leeson, even Larry Kerslake, DuPont, Dreger, Gugnon, all have a chance to make the roster next year. Owen Powers up to an 80. Vahalati's a 79. I mean, there is going to be a pretty good amount of competition given to the players currently on the roster from this Checkers team heading into next year. The good thing is, of course, we didn't lose our ability to sign free agents, and more than likely we'll be leaning towards prospects yet again, who will be replacing the guys that we see on this team now that are likely to graduate as we win 2 out of the first 3. Can we end this series against Springfield in 4? Yes, we can. So the Checkers will be moving on to the second round, eliminating the Springfield Thunderbirds, who should not exist. It should still be the Portland Pirates. So I say screw that team. We move on to take on the Hershey Bears, the Hershey Burrs, in the second round. As we... what's the result of game 2? All right, another 2-1 split in our favor. We'll sim the next 2 games because we can't lose the series in that time. And we will be going to game 6. So we have a 3-2 series lead after getting shut out in game 5. And we end the series in 6. 6-4 win. The Checkers on their way to the conference final, where they will take on the Cleveland Monsters. Let's sim the first 3. As Central Scouting's been released, but let's be honest, this is completely goddamn irrelevant to us now, isn't it? We'll be losing the first, as we win 2 out of the first 3 yet again. So games 4 and 5, we will sim, and this time the Monsters will be 1 win away. Will they be able to end this series in 6 games? No, they will not. So we will go to game 7. The Charlotte Checkers 1 win away from the Calder Cup final. Let's see what they can do. First period here, 2-all. Killinen, Warren, Marshall Warren, David Perron, and Cody Berard, the goal scorers. Second period, it's now 4-2. Kerslake and DeLuca. Third period, the Checkers are going to the Calder Cup final. Brett Leeson gets the only goal of the third period. 5-2 final. And there might be a chance for us to have some sort of success in this episode yet, as it'll be the Barracuda and the Checkers. Awesome. Let's sim the first 3 games of this series as Ryan Graves goes down to injury. Unfortunately, that's a pretty big loss for that team. It's a 2-1 lead for the Barracuda. And they can't make it 3, so it's a best-of-3 series from this point on. Big time game 5, as Tulipov is 100%, and we win game 5, so we will have a chance to win the Calder Cup in 6 games over the San Jose Barracuda. Can we get the job done? First period, 1-0 San Jose. Caught Consalo the goal. Second period, 2-all. Owen Powers scores. Leonard makes it 2-1. Kerslake scores again. The Kurz Lake. The Kurzalaki. On Mad Shogard, by the way. We go to the third. Tied at 2. The next goal could be the Calder Cup winner as San Jose goes to the power play, and they do score. It's Scott Reedy with the goal. Tulipov gets one back. We're tied at 3. Less than 10 minutes remaining now. Weinger scores. I think it's Evan Weinger scores. Power play chance here for the Checkers. San Jose kills it off. And we will be going to game 7. Indeed. 4-3 win for the Barracuda. Game 7 is upon us. Let's do this. Let's see if the Checkers can win the whole damn thing to at least end this episode with some sort of positivity. Here we go. Can Charlotte walk away as champions? First period, 1-0 San Jose. Jack Drury with the goal, former Checker. Second period, it's 3-2. Scott Reedy made it 2-0. Gugnot, Kerslake, and Berard were up 3-2. and 20 minutes away from raising the Calder Cup here on home ice, and you bet your ass I'll watch it if we get the chance. Scott Reedy makes it 3-all. Still a power play chance there for San Jose that goes to waste. On our own power play chance, it's a killing off the 5-on-3. DuPont with the goal. It is 4-3 for the Checkers under 6 minutes remaining. And barring a miracle, it's Fierro, I should say. The Charlotte Checkers are going to win the Calder Cup. Let's see it as it happens. We'll see how this goes down. From there, we'll see what the lottery results are, and we'll pose the questions for what's happening moving forward as far as, who stays and who goes and what we look to do at the draft. But for now, we get to enjoy a positive, and that is this team raising the Calder Cup in 1 minute and 20 seconds unless something disastrous happens. Broken shot there. Here's Celios, and he'll clear it as the Barracuda are on the power play. A thing to keep in mind here, the settings, the sliders are still jacked. So we'll see. Again, no offsides, no icings, and the penalties will be way up there as the Barracuda pull the goalie. Leonard can't get the shot off. Reedy throws it on, but Brandon Halverson is there. 56.6 remaining. Reedy, the leading goal scorer this postseason. Funny thing is, I don't think they have. Yeah, they don't have the presentation like they do for the Cup. Kind of sucks. Makes this feel lesser. Reedy misses just high. Owen Power sends it around. Killinen able to clear with 48 seconds left. The lead still 2. Here's more for the Barracuda. Now Jack Drury. Sucks to have a former player lose like this. Brady drops back to Moore again. No offsides. Lindstrom's shot. Deflection broken down. Reedy recovers. Over for Drury. Now Passage. Hits Moore. Lindstrom with 25 seconds left. Moore's shot deflects wide. Passage to DuPont. He will clear with 18 seconds to go. We talked about the players on this team that'll have a chance to step up next season. And at the very least, they come with a winning pedigree as Blake is denied. Power finds Killinen. He clears. The Charlotte Checkers are Calder Cup champions. And maybe, just maybe, that's what we need to join the club next year. Players who know what it's like to win in the playoffs. As if, well, no disrespect to Jamie Benn, but, I don't necessarily blame him. But it is nice, after watching the Hurricanes crash and burn, to see the AHL team have this much success. Obviously a good mix of our younger prospects. A couple of guys like Halverson in the team. A couple of guys in there on defense as well. But for the most part, it's made up of our younger players that we've acquired via draft, trade, or free agency, also known as Traft. We've done well. Again, it's nice to see the team have a little bit of success. I don't know who was leading the way for us in the handshake line, but his mustache was phenomenal. Speaking of phenomenal mustaches, good lord. Good lord. So I don't know who will raise the cup for us, or who will be declared. It's going to be the captain. They're just going straight to it. No MVP award. That's supposed to be Leeson? I don't know who that's supposed to be. Again, dead silence from the crowd as the cup goes up. And that's it. I forgot about that. They don't even show them skating around. It's just that they raise the cup. Because, like, they really need to fix that. I know I've mentioned that to them before, but good lord, man. Like, come on. That's so anticlimactic. They just raise the cup. The game audio sucks. There's just nothing to that celebration at all. So, hey, at the very least, I get to feel better because our team won, and then I get to take another shot at EA for kind of half-assing something. I know it's the Calder Cup celebration, but it could still be better. And again, sweet, sweet victory. Something that, we didn't even get the taste. We got swept by Tampa. New Jersey ends up winning the Stanley Cup. Of course, we'll take a look at how all of that went down. I imagine don't think Brett Leason's the captain, but I do wonder if he was MVP of the playoffs. Let's take a look here. Man, Kraslocky put up 105 points. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, Leason led the way. Good old Larry Kraslocky up there as well. Celios, DuPont, and Power. All pretty damn good. And for goaltending, Halverson, also pretty damn good. Let's take a look here, though. Kraslocky killed it. I wanted to see who their captain was, but 51 goals for Larry. 79 overall, former second-round pick. You never know. Maybe that's another new addition to the team this year. So as far as the playoff trees are concerned, again, the Charlotte Checkers are Calder Cup champions. The Devils ended up beating Tampa, who had beaten Buffalo in the prior round, and New Jersey beats Colorado in the final, something I'm very glad did not happen in 2001. No disrespect, Devils fans, but you won the year before that, so it is what it is. Although we will see what that Devils team looks like. Oh yeah, that's right. Well, that's not surprising. That is just disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. I completely forgot who was on their team. It makes all the sense in the world that the Devils won. That is simply outrageous. And I'm sure nearly pornography for Devils fans as they win their third cup in 4 years. Jesus. And in fairness, Jamie Benn had won a cup with Dallas, but that didn't help us out much, did it? Jack Hughes wins the Art Ross. James Reimer, oh, that's right, the glitch happened. Reimer wins the Hart via glitch. The Norris to Romaniosi. Goose said the Lady Bang. The Calder did go to Sawatsky, which kind of sucks. Hall wins the Conn Smythe. Reimer again via glitch. Jennings there. The Masterton, Ryan O'Reilly, another Selke. And Reimer, of course, via glitch to Ted Lindsay. But the Rocket Richard goes to Jack Hughes. Down in the AHL, Kraslocky scored the most points and was league MVP. He also scored the most goals. Berard was the top rookie. Benton Moss, the top defenseman. Mad Shugard, top goaltender. MVP of the playoffs was Brent Celios. And Kraslocky also took home another award. So a very good year for the Charlotte Checkers. A very disappointing end to the season for the Carolina Hurricanes. And unfortunately, it does leave a lot of questions as far as what we should do heading into this next season. A lot of room to make changes, but also a lot of room to just sit back and see what this team ultimately ends up being. Again, we're going to be losing our only first-round pick, which really sucks. But we're going to be having a lot of players that are going to be stepping up next year. I mean, if you look at this team, and we'll look at goaltenders first, Spencer Knight, is he the guy? We've had those doubts. He wasn't necessarily bad in the playoffs over the last 2 years. The issue is we don't really have his replacement right now. Mikhanov may eventually get there. It's doubtful that Latikainen ever gets there. So that's the big issue right now with Spencer Knight, is we don't have a built-in replacement. Maybe if there's someone there via free agency, but that's a pretty big if. Defensively, Riley's going nowhere, Hamilton's going nowhere, but you could argue over the future of Jake Bean and Bowen Byram especially, who just isn't what he is probably going to be in real life. Dominic Machine probably gone as well when you factor in what Owen Power is looking like. You also have Vahalati, who is making steps forward. And, I mean, there are other guys as well. I mean, DeLuca's getting up there. Petit's not that good. But Gilbert, I'm guessing it is. Of course, it was Roger Gilbert, so, I mean, I'm guessing that's what it is. But he's going to be stepping up. Defensively, we might try to hopefully get a little bit lucky with this draft, or maybe try to find a defensive prospect to sign or trade for to really help things out there. And then forward-wise, I mean, we know Jamie Benn's not coming back. Nino is going to need a new contract, and one could argue whether or not at 32 years old he should be signed. I mean, still coming off of a 54-point season. I'm not against bringing him back depending on the price, which looks like it's going to be under $3 million or about $3 million. So, I mean, we could bring him back, but again, you have to factor in the amount of guys that we have that are listed as depth options or third-line guys that are going to be stepping up. Peterson needs a new deal. Roche needs a new deal. Cody Berard's there. Pekka Matanen, Robertson, Turcotte. I mean, it seems like Nino would be the type of guy to let go of. Gougnot's listed as an 81, and that's just listed on the main roster in the system. Tulipov is there, DuPont. I mean, and not to mention Nielsen hasn't even signed his ELC yet. He'll be signing that this offseason. So, unfortunately, as good as Nino's been, I think he has to go just out of necessity for the amount of guys. Bradley could step up. Dreger could step up. There could be major changes coming to this team, and I can't imagine that we won't end up having to get rid of certain players. But I'm still happy with where this team is. But today was a major, major defeat. So in the next episode, we go through the offseason. We set this team up for what will hopefully be another run. And I have a feeling at the very least we'll end the next episode with a little bit of optimism. I'll be, it's a guarantee that I'll be excited for what this team looks like because it's going to be good no matter what. It's just concerns over the big players on this team getting the job done, pulling their own weight. It hasn't exactly been shown to be a guarantee that that's going to happen. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching and supporting the series. It is, of course, greatly appreciated. I will see you next time. Until then, have a good one.